Hello YouTube, I'm Southern Wolverine, and this is the general of my Parthian army, as I am part of a 3 versus 3 action with Patrick commanding the Seleucids, Comrade Drago commanding Macedon, and our opponents are Zeus and Dorwan commanding Carthage, and Super Trooper 40 commanding Rome. My force is 2 units of Royal Cataphracts, 3 units of Noble Blood Cavalry, and I have 4 Armored Horse Archers, this 1 unit of Indian War Elephants, and then my infantry force is mainly light infantry. Well, it's all light infantry and skirmishers. I got 5 of these Eastern Slingers and 4 Eastern Spearmen to attempt to protect them from cavalry. Drago has a mixed force of Hoplites, Royal Peltas, and Thorax Pikes, and a significant number of these mercenary Rhodian Slingers. 5, well, okay, it's a mix of Slingers and Axemen. He also has 2 units of Companion Cavalry. Patrick has a large contingent of Thorax Swords, looks like 4 of them. 5, 6, 7... something like 7 pikes, 2, 3 citizen cavalry, so it's kind of a light cavalry contingent, although he is supplemented by his general, who is riding an Indian armored war elephant, knocking all his own guys down there. That's okay, they're fine. Your own elephants don't kill you unless they're panicking. Alright, Carthage here. I can't tell which Carthaginian army this is, but we've got 4 units of Carthaginian cav on this flank. And you see what these guys did is, instead of having another army here, they massed 2 Carthaginian armies basically over here, and they left all these cavalry spikes on this side. We could see their deployment, but they had the spikes, and what they did is one of the Carthaginian armies was set up right over here, and at the last second he must have had them all as one group because he popped them in on this side. So suddenly there were 2 armies over here, and a bunch of anti-cav defenses here. I suppose they're trying to deny a flank. In any case, the Roman army here is looks like a bunch of veteran legionaries and some auxiliary infantry for backup. He has some cavalry running around. His legatus is here, and I don't see them at the moment. They must be in these trees or something, but he has a couple of units of cavalry. And here's a whole bunch of Carthaginians. Now this is a mixed force of the 2 different Carthaginian generals. The one army has 3 of these mercenary Cretan archers. The other has 3 Libyan peltasts. And this army has a large contingent of Libyan infantry, 4 units. And 3 units of these very capable Sacred Band units. These guys have excellent morale, good defense and armor. They will stay in a fight a long time. And the reinforcing army also has some late Libyan hoplites, quite a few of them, and some Sacred Band of his own. And then it's all kind of a big jumble here, so it's going to be a little bit confusing. And he of course has these African war elephants as his marquee unit. Alright, so we're going to pop back into real time and see what happens. Alright, now my force here, I'm basically facing 2 Carthaginian armies at the outset of this. So I'm going to try to use this as a skirmish force. This is all light infantry and cavalry. That's what I want to do. I want to avoid a head-on confrontation. All these units, any one of these would just thrash these Eastern Spearmen. They could contribute against cavalry. They can screen against missile troops. But in melee, these Eastern Spearmen are not going to last very long against even the late Libyan hoplites, who are the weakest melee troops against other infantry that these Carthaginian armies have. So now you see even those horses that were on the other side have run over to this flank. So there's an awful lot of force concentrated right here against me. So basically my aim is going to be to avoid engaging for as long as possible, see if I can get them to come in after me, or at least allow the Macedonian army commanded by Comrade Drago to come up and push these guys in on the flank. Meanwhile, we're not going to be talking a whole lot about this action over here, as Rome and Seleucids are going to spend a large portion of the battle sort of maneuvering try to gain an advantage over there. And they're going to have some skirmishes and things happen later on. But the bulk of the heavy combat's going to be in this area. So here comes a batch of Carthaginian cavalry looking to disrupt my skirmishers, I suppose. So, standard technique here. This is why the spearmen are here. We're going to pull the slingers back. I do not have skirmish on these guys. I'm manually controlling all their skirmishing, which can get you into trouble if you don't notice when cav is coming. So I'm just pull them back, let these spears present a front, and start shooting back at these guys. These hoplites are going to try to get a piece of these guys, and they don't really manage it. Got a few of them to missile fire. The hoplites got one of them. And now they're, having failed to get my skirmishers, they're going to take a shot at Drago skirmishers. So this is a pretty aggressive cavalry sweep, but they're trying to get the advantage in the skirmish fight. Now, this would have been more of a problem for us if these skirmishers had been engaging us at the same time, but they're not at the moment. But now you got 6 units of cavalry here that are pushing heavily to this flank, and they are getting a shot at these slingers here and these axemen. The companion cavalry are going to come try to put a stop to that, and these hoplites are also going to try to engage them. I'm bringing over the elephants also to try to help tip the balance of this cavalry fight. And this center Carthaginian army, again I apologize, I can't tell whose army this is. They're pushing up on me, and these peltas are now in range, or very close to range. That's something I have to be a little concerned about, so I'm just going to pull back from that, because I don't want these guys to be in range if I can avoid it. I want to keep hitting them with my longer range units. So now these cavalry withdrawing. They were taking a lot of casualties in there. Perhaps he was concerned about the elephants coming over, I'm not sure. But they've pretty much done all they're going to be able to do for the moment. And that was a pretty expensive attack. He lost a number of cavalry, and even the units that are still alive have taken some damage. Now see, these ones did come around. See, this is what I was talking about, manually skirmishing. I didn't see these guys doing their little reverse action here, and they got into me. Even though they're only at half strength, they were able to do some serious damage to my slingers, and one of the units did rout, I believe. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah, there's only 4, nope, they're all still here. But I did suffer a lot of losses in this one, for example. I lost 40 out of 90 men. So some of my melee cav came in to support. The spears are going to run out and try to drive these guys off. And so that cav is going to shatter too. So that cav strike was able to take out some of our skirmishers, but I think that it came at too high of a cost for the Carthaginian armies. The gain was not worth the losses suffered. So now I was feeling like my horse archers were kind of wasted over here, not a lot of room to maneuver because we're right up against the red line. So since we've got all this space in the middle, I was going to run them out and try to harass. I was a little worried about Rome maneuvering, that's why I came back over here. So you see the spears that ran out to attack those skirmishers, or those cavalry rather, are getting a little bit overextended. And the cav, same thing, so I'm going to try to pull them back. And again, just drop back a little bit, try to reset, and see if I can get these guys thinned out a little bit before I send the cav in to try to clean them out. Now there is a significant skirmish going on over here between these Persian light archers and the auxiliary Syrian archers. And Patrick's also running some cavalry strikes on these guys. Not sure how effective this is actually going to be. I wasn't really paying attention to this part of the battle. So again, just like on the other side, he got a piece of them, but now he's into these legionary cohort. So if they don't get through there and out of the way, they're going to start to take some losses. This is looking like it's being pretty disruptive, though. Now this unit's losing decisively as it's stuck in against 2 units of veteran legionaries and some auxiliary infantry coming over. So if these guys don't get out of there, they're gonna be done. So a lot of cav strikes and counter cav strikes going on. A lot of skirmishing still. There hasn't really been any infantry combat yet, or at least infantry versus infantry. So the Carthaginian armies have now pulled back. This one was with a little bit more defensive disposition, was kind of hanging back anyway. And the more aggressive of the 2 armies. I can't now, I say that, but I don't know whose cav all was coming in there like that. So they're both now coming out, having withdrawn, regathered their troops, and we're going to re-engage in this skirmish battle. Soon we will re-engage in the skirmish battle. See, now I've got all melee cav over here, and all my missile cav is over here. So really now what I'm trying to do is get these guys back, see if these guys will chase me in, and allow Macedon to flank them. They're not going for it at the moment. They still have a lot of skirmishers left, and a lot of their cav was lost. So I think they're not particularly eager to just charge in at us. And these Sacred Band, I got a lot of these Sacred Band. These are mostly defensive troop type, although they will destroy my infantry. Although there are a lot of Libyan infantry here, pretty decent sword infantry that we're going to have to worry about too. So some of the remaining Carthaginian cavalry over here is trying to chase down my horse archers, get them off the flank. They're not as fast as me, so I'm not sure why he didn't just fall back to the protection of his infantry. Because I got him on heavy shot, so I'm doing some pretty decent damage to these guys as they're chasing me down. And of course the Parthians have the Parthian shot ability, which allows them to shoot in any direction. So as they're getting hit, these companion calves are going to try to come over and intercept them. So if he chased me much longer, these hoplites would have been in play too. But as it is, these guys are getting caught by the companions, and they don't have much chance of winning that fight, especially as depleted as they already were. So we are gradually gaining a cavalry advantage. Oh, here, this was a little bit aggressive on my part. I sent a lot of my spears out to try to intercept these guys, try to drive them back. And now these Carthaginian cav are going to come in, and they're going to have a shot at my slingers if they're able to squeeze through here. But he decides better of it, figuring he'd probably lose those cavalry, and he's probably right about that, and pulls them out before they can suffer losses. Did force me to pull back my eastern spearmen, though. And these guys are now taking missile fire, and if you want my opinion on that, I am completely fine with that. These guys are less expensive than the skirmishers that they're protecting. I have no expectations of them in melee combat. You are welcome to shoot missiles at them all day. So between these two Carthaginian armies, there's a lot of kind of confusing maneuvering going on here, kind of one milling out, one comes from this side in here, one comes this way. It was a lot to try and follow, since we couldn't, or at least I couldn't distinguish which army was which. Couldn't tell whose troops were all over there. So now Carthage is trying to force an engagement here. So Macedon's moving up to his flank, and my cav is going to come up this way, and we're going to try to engulf them if we can. See, the horse archers have already gotten around behind and are still trying to just pick away at people with heavy shot, since the skirmishers are all facing the other direction. And we're trying to wear down these guys with missiles as much as possible. So here comes yet another cavalry strike. A lot of this involved in the skirmish in this battle. We had a lot of active cavalry skirmishing here. Now these guys are going to pursue a little bit too far, and you're going to lose a couple of them to these pikes. They are going to sneak over here and get a piece of these axemen, though, before these hoplites force them to retire. Meanwhile, still cavalry fighting going on the flanks. The elephants have come in here and done quite a bit of damage to these legionary cohort. There's a big sword battle going on here. But now the African war elements under command of Carthage are going to come here and get a good smack on these guys. So the elephant strike's kind of damaging both sides here. So these war elephants are making another charge. Even these guys, even though they're spears, are not going to hold up terribly well to that kind of abuse. And the main Seleucid pike line is still intact, although his swords are getting routed by these elephants. So that's something that he's going to have to keep an eye on. Most of the skirmishers in this whole side have been killed off. Both Seleucids and Rome's. It doesn't look like Rome has any left. But on this side, still plenty of skirmishers left, although the melee fight is, due to begin any moment here. I'm trying to keep the skirmish fight going by keeping my eastern slingers out here, but having trouble continuing to withdraw as these hoplites keep pressing my line. So he's gotten me engaged, which I really don't want to be. And this is a good move here. These noble cav snuck around my flank, and they're going to get a shot at my slingers. And I realized it a little too late. I'm trying to rush these royal cataphracts back to help out. So that's a bit of a problem for me. Back here, my horse archers are still running away from these Libyan infantry and shooting them up as much as possible. let that happen too long. There's a lot going at this point in the battle. So these guys are just going to try to disengage. Fortunately, they're armored horse archers. They didn't take all that much damage from that javelin strike. So that could have been a lot worse. My spearmen, one of my managed to turn around and try to drive these noble cav off. My elephants are also going to try to intercept them. Meanwhile, the cavalry are coming in here and hitting the back of these Libyan hoplites to try to keep my eastern spearmen from routing. And that's working on some of these guys. They're wearing out. Yes, their spears are getting an advantage against cavalry, but they're still not going to enjoy a cavalry rear assault on them. That's for damn sure. So with fresh spears coming in, it's time to get my cavalry out. Macedon is fully engaged here. He's got his royal peltasts fighting the sacred band. This is a battle of two very elite units. Looks like they're both still in formation attack. Just kind of having at each other. These pikes are still unengaged, and Carthage is doing well to avoid charging into those guys, because that would have been pretty nasty, because they don't really have any pikes in their whole army. There comes more hoplites. And my eastern spearman force is pretty much wearing out at this point. My slingers are running out of ammo and charging into melee, some of them. So my infantry force is largely spent at this point. I got a few left, but not all that many. He's doing a pretty good job here with these late Libyan hoplites getting into my troops. So my foot skirmisher body's just about done. And my archers at this point are starting to run low on ammunition. But they still got enough, still in heavy shot, that they're going to, be able to damage these sacred bands, especially from behind. So this unit's going to come in and join in that action, while these sacred band are still trying to hold out against all these numbers that are in this fight. My elephants were also able to come over and help out in this fight, and they're just kind of hanging out here in case another attack comes in this direction. See, Roman Seleucids continue to sort of circle around each other here. Now, being out of skirmishers, Rome is trying to get up to the high ground right now. And these light archers are the only skirmishers left on this whole side until now. The legatus of the Roman army is going to come in and just smack these guys. So now no skirmishers whatsoever. You got a bunch of swords versus a bunch of pikes, and one sword unit, and these Indian armored elephants are still alive. Now the Carthage has recalled their elephants from that fight, realizing I guess that they needed them pretty badly in this fight, as this last unit of noble cavalry gets caught and takes more casualties from my Indian armored elephants. And my elephants could probably fight these guys and take them on, but I really want to be using these guys against infantry, so we're going to try to use skirmishers and spears against those guys, if at all possible. So now you see my the last of my infantry is in here. There's pretty much nothing left. That's a little bit of a problem for me, since they got a lot of spears left. See these sacred band taking out these companion cavalry. That's the last thing I want to happen to my cavalry. So I'm going to have to try to get rear chargers, I'm going to have to surround, I'm going to have to do cycle charges, just to try to get these guys without suffering the, disadvantage I'm going to have fighting against spears. So here's another hoplites versus cavalry, and noble cavalry are trying to avoid this battle. And my armored horse archers are trying to avoid this battle also. But the slingers are trying to kill off these elephants, who, I don't know if he lost track of them or what. Oh, you see some of these Indian armored elephants getting caught in these cav traps that were placed during the battle. There goes one of them. That might be about all they lose there. But these Carthaginian elephants are going right into a pike line. They're good, but they're not that good. So that's it for the Carthaginian elephant. Now Carthage is at severe disadvantage here, but this is total disarray. And he does have a lot of spears left against my cavalry. And my horse archers you see charging in now, because they are completely out of ammunition. So we are just going to, well, I'm going to come in here and try to take out these swords, who are already fighting Macedon's royal peltasts. And meanwhile over here, the other Macedonian royal peltasts are fighting the sacred band, and this is another one of these elite versus elite battles. And this one, sacred band, is facing backwards to try to protect against cavalry, I guess. That's not going to stop me from running cycle charges in and out of here, though, especially with these royal peltasts wavering. I kind of have to do something to try to get rid of these guys, since my skirmish force is gone. or out of missiles, and none of the remaining infantry nearby really have a great chance of stopping that. So that was the last of the Royal Peltas in this area. But here comes the Parthian cavalry. See, these guys didn't manage to get set in time. As tough as they are, that charge still did some pretty good damage to them. So see, they're dropping here for quite a bit, and they're losing decisively despite their spear advantage. It's just a lot of guys for them to be fighting. I even threw the last of my Eastern Slingers and Spearmen in this fight just to try to pin these guys down. So leaving these guys basically to die fighting the Sacred Band. And you see they're going about their mission of dying quite quickly, especially that guy. That's got a sting. So they're going to just be thrashing these guys. And here comes another cycle charge. As these these royal cataphracts want another go. So again, these guys losing. They're very low on men at this point, so they're not going to be able to hold out against this for very long, even though they are a spear unit. So let's just go see what's happening over here on the other side. What's left of the Roman army is continually trying to avoid these pikes, perhaps hoping for a chance to get at them, hoping these elephants would run through these traps. I'm not entirely sure what he's looking to do here. But he didn't want to fight head-on against the pikes, that's for sure. But now, he waited so long to engage, unfortunately for him, that now my cavalry is over here to support, and what's left of the Macedonian infantry is also coming over to assist. So he still has some hoplites, a couple units of thorax pikes left. These guys are barely touched. And he's also got this one unit of Royal Peltas still alive, and a unit of slingers that I believe is out of ammunition. They might have some ammo left. Now, he's probably going to realize before too long that all my archers are out of ammunition. So they still have their bows out, so it still looks like they have arrows, but they don't. So they're just going to kind of wait around the rear, just wait for a chance to get a cavalry attack. Even though these guys don't have the greatest melee stats. See, I mean, yeah, their missile damage is good, but yeah, melee attack 20, defense 10. Not much to get excited about. But, you know, better than nothing. Even their charge is only 10. But still, if I can get a rear charge with them, we can do some damage. You know, and this last unit of skirmishers trying to make the most of their presence by taking out the general, which they do now manage to do. So the Roman legatus is done with all these sling stones around him. Poor guy, I think that might be him there in the gold armor. These guys, writing's on the wall, you know. They're not going to be able to hold long. Especially with all this attack. See all those attack orders click? There's a whole bunch of spears coming in. The 8 remaining Indian armored elephants are coming in this flank also. From the other side, my undamaged unit of Indian war elephants is going to smack into these guys. Followed quickly by all my royal cataphracts and noble blood cavalry. So these guys are going to be able to come in. Yeah, there's some spears left, but they're not going to do enough to this cavalry. Especially in the presence of all these pike infantry still. So we're just at this point delivering a pretty vicious coup de grace. You're going to see this Roman army is going to be entirely surrounded, smacked by elephants, attacked by pikes. Not much he can do without his allies around to help him out now. So yep, there come all the horses in from behind. Here come the cataphracts to clean up these guys. Pikes are pushing in. So look, just look at this mess that these Romans are in now. Yeah, I can't blame them. I'd be running too. So in any case, thanks to Patrick and Comrade Drago for another 3 versus 3 game. And a good game to our opponents, Zeus, Super Trooper, and Dorowan. However you're actually supposed to pronounce that. I'm sorry if I butchered it. Well, let me go through at least my unit. I don't want to go through all 6 summers, but let me just go through my units. The 2 Royal Cataphracts. Obviously, champions. Good damage, very few losses. Um, the Noble Blood Cav, between the three of them, did pretty decent damage. Got a little bit beat up, some of them. Horse Archers did pretty good damage also without taking many losses, so I call that a win. The Slingers didn't do as much as I hoped. This unit had good kills, but nobody else really did anything. So I would have liked to get more out of those guys. Fortunately, the Cavalry made up the difference. And the Eastern Spearmen did basically what I expected Eastern Spearmen to do, which is nothing. But they were there as a screen. And my Elephants did almost 200. About half of that was in those last like 15 seconds charging into the Roman army. They were mainly acting as a deterrent to Carthaginian cavalry. So in any case, thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I am Southern Wolverine, signing off for now.